Alright, hey, what's up, guys? Second time recording because my screen was cut off when I was drawing, and I didn't even realize until I was about done with the video. But alright, let's do part two. So right here, this distribution here is last week's TPO profile, so we can make this a little more visible here. And you can see it's mainly a toothy profile, but the structure was pretty clear. We had that gap down on Sunday coming to that new week because of all the news and the geopolitical risk that's going on. I'm not going to talk about that. Haven't done my own due diligence in that field as much as I should be doing. So, yeah, let's just keep it technical because I'm technical right now. So we had a three consecutive days of OTFD, one time frame down, and then Wednesday, Tuesday, I believe, ended up reclaiming and breaking out higher of this descending triangle platform, so to say. Reclaims, ends up coming into this big balance and traversing all the way, then forming a local range within the top 50 percentile of this entire distribution, and staying range bound until the close of the week. Sunday had a gap down. We end up reclaiming in V reversal U shape at the lows, goes long, breaks out into the open, forms a P shape into today, and overnight session is already making new highs past the today's lows, already making another U shape at this bottom of this P distribution. There's actually going to be tomorrow's line in the sand / pivot before I consider this this volume would be offside and we can kind of just traverse lower and continue filling out structure. But for right now, it looks like we're heading till 7,010s and maybe new all-time highs depending on how momentous we are, because today was kind of a low volatility, low volume type of day. I only took one trade, I believe. Yeah, just one long. Didn't make sense to take any other things and had to get some errands done anyways, so kind of saved me in that way. So now what we can do is kind of draw this out and give more of a visual instead of me just talking so much. Let me break. Okay. So, this is how I do my context. So first, I need to figure out what is the momentum. Now, momentum is breaking out in three categories for me. You're gonna have OTFD, OTFU, and then range bound. Right? And I'm sorry if you hear my mouse clicks and my keyboard a lot. I'm trying to fix the audio issues, not using a mic, things like this. So hopefully it's a little better. So one time frame down, this is a clear example of one time frame down. You can see consecutive lower lows, lower highs, things like that, until we end up reclaiming here and basing. And oh my goodness, I just deleted that. Okay, thank God it has that feature, or else we would have been screwed. Let me delete all this stuff here so it's a little cleaner. So we need to find the momentum. So coming into this week, what was the momentum? Well, we were definitely range bound. Look at this, 4 consecutive sessions range bound. And once you find what your regime is, you can call this a regime. Where is it occurring? Where? The location matters a lot. As you can see, we had this major distribution on the composite profile. Major distribution. Now, on the 20-day profile and the 5-day rolling profile, you can see we've been having this LVN, and you can see this level in the high time frame profile. That's been holding out for the last 2 weeks. So we ended up forming a local low into that and major high into that 20-day profile. This is a 5-day profile, but I remember the 20-day profile had this clear as day shelf. This is what I was selling all last week. Just rips into here because we couldn't clear it and it stayed range bound. Sentiment wasn't changing in the overnights, and it was just clear as day range bound every single day for 2 days in a row. Those are the regimes I perform the best in my opinion. So yeah, we can mark out that local extreme. And then we have, this next distribution down here. And its shelf, it's like right there, alignment with the 5-day profile. And you can also argue there's a level down here, which in my opinion is kind of noise, but we'll mark it out here. just ticks the bottom, reclaims, goes bid, traverses, does not exchange any volume down here, zero volume. So, you know, if we begin to lose this P shape during the week, which I don't think we'll lose because there was so much energy built in here to get us out, and the gap down to grab all those orders and then come back in and fill volume out. Do I think we're going lower this week? Is it setting up for that? Not really. Is the possibility still there? Of course. You know, there's endless possibilities. You know, we don't have a crystal ball. We wish we did, but it's just not how the cookie crumbles, for to say, like a better expression. So now we have this upper distribution here, the all-time high distribution that we've been building out, and the shelf is going to be in. I merged all these profiles because it was clean. Yeah, it's right there. So yeah, now we have everything mapped out. And you guys can't really see that, but it was the momentum. So secondly, okay, we know the location now. That range bound activity occurred in the upper percentile of this big distribution. So we're pending an imminent breakout, right? Now we're breaking out P shape into a new distribution. We're building volume, local lows holding out. So right now we're entering we're in a transitory state, possible one time framing up. So what is the most probable target right now? It's going to be this upper shelf, right? 7,010s, 7,020s, example, and then these like 2 week ago highs, right? I could actually pull up a weekly TPO, which I'll do towards the end of the video, but now we know number 2. Number 3 is getting the levels themselves, right? And we kind of already did that. You know, it's going to be this shelf here, this shelf here. If we lose this, it's going to be a bigger bleed because you're going to liquidate all this trend volume, I'm pretty sure, and then 6930s, below 6930s. You know, all this energy was built up for the failed auction to break out. You know, if you begin to lose this, sellers take back control, you're able to fill out volume. Do I think we're gonna V reversal at 6930 and continue ranging? I mean, it's possible, but I think we can just liquidate all the way down to 6890s, 6870s, just because this would be like all this energy built up for what? You know, it's not able to break higher. But right now, everything's pointing to higher, so I'm not gonna be fading it. Momentum's going up. If you look at a 60-minute chart here, you can see momentum clearly. This is how I look at it, right? You base, find support, then you rotate here. Failed auction, reclaim, breakout, P shape, and then that's the pivot into this shelf, into 7,010, 20, whatever it may be. Right, same thing on the 15-minute. Yeah, let me get a weekly TPO up. I feel like that's something we're missing. It's gonna take a while to load that. So now what we can do is actually mark out the lows. So probably gonna be 61 down into 67. We'll mark out the overnight low. I think that's important because it's like the distribution forming's bottom, and this would be like the line in the sand. Don't think we can go that far. So 64, 67. There was some seller all week in the 66s, 61, 64s. They may have to start covering if we do revisit, or they already did. You know, I don't know. Then we have that local top at 66.93. Is it relevant? Not really. You're kind of in the big belly of this distribution. I think the more important level is going to be up into here. 7,012 to 17. We can get a clearer picture here once I load up this weekly profile and update this. Yeah, okay. So yeah, weekly profile is majorly toothy, you know, rotating within that profile. We already established these type of things, but you can see the 20-day profile. Let me overlay the same levels from this chart onto this one. so I don't have to consecutively do the same thing. Okay. So now we're playing with like a double distribution at this point. We kind of peed into it. So now it's clear as day momentum wants to go higher. It's just about finding those prices and waiting for that setup to come to you. So then below there, we can mark out 20s to 27 is going to be a good area for a local pivot. And then back below, most likely Sunday's gap. I'm iffy at 76s, but I'll mark it. Major level is going to be down into 47, 48s. These two levels don't think we'll hit them this week unless it's super volatile. But right now, major target's going to be here on the X, pivot down into 67s right here, and then we can flush this. So let's do the roadmap now. So let's get long, lose, flip short, possibly even a major bleed down into here, cautious into here. I don't know how to draw a caution sign. Is it like an exclamation? Yeah, that looks way better. Man, I could be our artist right now. And then major level down here. Just because it's like, this big balance. And then you have that weekly low right there. You're already above previous week high. All-time high into 7,030s. Yeah, so if you can continue momentum above previous week high, leave all this thin volume behind, I think we're good. If not, we can start to fill in this structure, fill it out, fill this out. Then you would have a 2-week merge with a failed auction. Short-term distribution gets liquidated all the way to the other end. These are all possibilities. I might not even trade them while I'm playing golf. Way too early in the morning. But yeah, just stick to the prices. Stick to your execution tools. Trade what you know. Don't try and trade something else just because you see it on Twitter. You see someone else seeing success with it. It doesn't fit you. That's a big thing. It's like, I was even victim of it. Trying to trade things that weren't me. Not my personality, not how I view markets. The way I trade, not a lot of people can trade. The way other people trade, I can't trade. It's like the shoe doesn't fit. Trading isn't a monopoly. You have monopoly in different sectors in the workforce, like labor, for example, like food suppliers. But trading is not a monopoly. You can make money in your own diverse way. It's like up to your own interpretation. So yeah, looking at an hourly, it's just a breakout P, local low holding, target into here. Even if we get a shallow, like let's say the overnight ends up hitting 7,012, which is possible. I kind of just want to be selling up here and then gauge momentum. See if we do get 2-day trend behavior, like another P, boom, for all-time high. I don't know. What else is possible for tomorrow? Yeah, you would gauge the 76 and like the 80s. Can you get a higher low? Because you would have low on the TPO, low, high. If not, then this could be broken. Start filling back into the middle of this range and then back to the bottom. So yeah, guys, that's my weekly outlook. I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave any questions, comments, concerns. That sounds way too corporate in the description, and I'll try and answer them to my best of my capability. But yeah, have a great week, everyone.